everyone. Welcome back to Manage the Wild. I'm your host, Nick Madsen. There's always fights happening in court. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. It could be whether the tree's on your property or not. But in wildlife, there's always fights, continuous. A lot of the times you're hearing about wolves, cougars, and bears, but it doesn't matter. There's always fights in court, depending on what state you're in, about deer, elk, moose, cougars, birds. Doesn't really matter. So, Montana is taking the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services to court because 2013 they listed the wolverine as threatened. The reasons were that they listed it as threatened is basically the population, their connectedness, their ability to have gene flow, their ability to den with snow cover. Climate change affecting snow cover would reduce their ability to den, and if they can't den, then they can't reproduce. And so they listed it as threatened. They went out and did a bunch of studies on them for the last quite a few years. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services did, and it shows that maybe those effects aren't as bad. And Montana's saying, if they're not as bad, then don't list them as threatened, because we can do way better managing them as a species that's hunted and targeted versus one that's on a threatened or species. There's also a lot more money that comes in from all the firearms and ammunition and those type of taxes that are collected, PR money that comes in. They can put a lot more towards wolverines than when they are listed as threatened or endangered. So we'll see how that plays out. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service doesn't really like to delist things, and there's a lot of different groups out there that don't like them to delist things either. So we'll see how long this goes in battle. It could be quite a long time. Okay, there's another one that's really interesting. If you go to Nevada Department of Wildlife, go on their news, it talks about 3 men who were convicted of illegally harvesting a mule deer. We all knew the way they did it was gonna happen, and they did it. A public tip came in. Let's see. How long ago was this? It wasn't that long ago. But a public tip came in to the Nevada Department of Wildlife that 3 men spotted what they call a trophy-sized buck on private property. And this was in the Hunt Unit 242. So they know they can't enter that area because that would be trespassing. So they don't actually enter that area to drive the animal onto public where they can shoot it. What they did is they used a drone. So you've all been to a beach or sitting at your house and somebody's got a drone hovering above your head, and it's just really irritating. These guys, what they did is they took their drone, got behind the mule deer, and they pushed it onto public property, and then they ended up shooting it. And they were in possession of a legal buck tag for some different units, unit 221, 222, but not for the unit 242. So they had a legal hunting tag, but they killed the deer in the wrong unit. Also, they used a drone to drive the animal into the area. So it looks like investigators did their research and they obtained a bunch of evidence through a bunch of search warrants, and this is what they got nailed with: unlawful killing of big game, unlawful possession of big game, and conspiracy. Unlawful possession of big game, animal, and conspiracy. So all 3 of the individuals will split what they call a $15,000 civil penalty for the convictions, and all 3 will have their hunting, fishing, and trafficking privileges suspended for 5 years. Here's the thing. This is only going to get more and more prevalent in my thought process. People are learning how to use these drones and how to deploy them, and they're so fast that it's going to be one of those things that is going to be super difficult to be able to monitor. I guess that's the one concern I have. I watch all these fishing videos where these guys are long lining off the shore. They'll take their drone and they'll hook a fishing line onto it, and then they'll fly it as far as they can out into the ocean, and then they drop it. I saw another guy attach a Glock 17 to his drone, and he rigged up a thing so where he could shoot his Glock from the drone as he flew it around. Is that what's going to come next? Is somebody's going to see a big buck and they're just going to fly their drone into it? I don't know, but everybody wants pictures of big deer, big elk, big moose, big animals so they can put on social media. And that kind of ethical and moral responsibility lately seems to be thrown out the window for popularity and fame and recognition. I don't know. It just kind of drives me nuts. But I hope law enforcement can keep up with all the psychos out there and keep doing their best. But there you go. Wolverines are in court, and now using drones to herd animals is going to court. All right, you guys, have a great day. Stay wild.